This brief passage is my take on education and democracy. Democracy is messy. The processes that prepare children to participate in democracy should be messy too. Kids should test their opinions without risk, challenge conventional wisdom, question authority, and learn to live passionate, engaged lives. In Chapter 8 of this book, I describe a 6-year-old student at Summerhill in England who challenged the school's founder, A.S. Neal, by breaking a window and claiming impunity by virtue of O'Neill's dictatorship. The student was preparing to be a model citizen. Contrast his experience with a charter school student told to walk silently through the hallways and then, seated with both hands folded on the desk, told repeatedly, "Eyes on teacher." The way to sustain and advance a democratic civil society is not to instruct it. Students should explore democracy and live it. Schools should provide daily practice in democracy, honoring students' points of view, learning from them as they learn from us, absorbing and redirecting the inevitable mistakes they will make as they discover their way into thoughtful citizenship. The next passage is a response to education reform's intent to break the cycle of poverty in America. One of the declared intentions of education reform is to break the cycle of poverty by reducing the achievement gap between white and black, privileged and poor. All evidence indicates that this isn't working. And it can't work well given the flawed neurological and biological premises on which reform is based. But even if things like grit and drilling were resulting in higher test scores, the toll on children is far too high. In the majority of today's schools, children are seldom introduced to beauty. They only read stories so they can answer multiple choice questions. They are infrequently invited or even allowed to express a point of view. They are bound by the conventional, not encouraged toward the original, and their passion is suppressed or sometimes even punished. With long school hours, long school years, and long hours of homework, they have less time for play and pleasure than most of the adults who place these heavy loads on their shoulders. If you share my belief that education should draw children into deeply satisfying ethical lives, this is not the direction we've taken, especially for poor children. When I think of the richness of my own life, my children's lives, and my grandchildren's lives, I'm infuriated at the images of small brown and black children marching silently through school, grinding toward the next stressful test. And finally, a few words from the end of my book. I began this book by claiming that the uniform factory approach to education has never served all children well. The cost is immense. Children who develop more slowly in early years are dismissed as less capable and may internalize this misjudgment for a lifetime. These schools neither recognize nor nurture children who are brilliant in ways that don't conform to the conventional notion of education and assessment. As a result, their growth may be stunted and their potential to contribute to society is truncated. The extrinsic structures that drive compliance and conformity inhibit intrinsic motivation. One of the greatest satisfactions in life is the endless opportunity to learn and grow. And when a school is stressful or unpleasant, aversion to continued learning is an inevitable consequence. We should allow our children to grow naturally, not force them into early unnatural tedium. We should treasure children's originality, not press them into intellectual or social conformity. This requires igniting their imaginations, cultivating a love of beauty, and instilling a fascination with the natural world. We desperately need our children to love the world and its people enough that they will save it. Our purpose should be to sustain curiosity, strengthen children's intrinsic desire to continue learning for a lifetime. Pursuing these purposes does not contradict the declared intention of education reform. Rather, it achieves the purposes of educational reform. Tedium, stress, and conformity are the enemies of both individual satisfaction and social progress. Imagination and beauty are things that enliven each individual life and advance civilization. We are living in a time of unprecedented existential risk. The risks are amplified by surrendering control of education to those who profit from the compliance and control of conventional education. Can we change the world if our children believe climate change is a hoax or that evolution is just another theory? Will the world be safer if schools teach a whitewashed version of history declaring America exceptional and inculcating blind faith and nationalism? Can we expect future generations to change the world if they're not encouraged to challenge conventional wisdom? The qualities nurtured through a progressive approach to education are the things that animate meaningful lives and promise the greatest contributions to society. And above all, first do no harm.